Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Reverend Dr. Martin Peters. You're a native of Oakland and you're the senior pastor at Victory Baptist Church in Oakland. You're also a funeral director at Fuller Funerals Incorporated. Thank you again for joining me. Okay, with this COVID-19 pandemic, you have been ordered as a senior pastor to close your church. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the orders come from?
Came from the governor, and it came from our counties. Anything more than 10 people or 10 persons is considered a gathering. Anything 10 and under is considered not a gathering.
So, Reverend, tell me if you were in contact with the city and county of Alameda once the governor gave the orders about service restrictions at your church. Did you receive any contact or have any notices brought to you from the Alameda County offices of health or anything like that?
I did receive, I'm in the email blast from the supervisor of Alameda County, Keith Carson, and then several pastors were forwarding messages stating that we could have up to 10 people only in our churches. So yes, I
Okay.
got that communication.
How did you reach out to your members to explain to them what was happening?
Well, I use calling posts. We have our own conference call line, and then we have a text blast. I can send about 70 of our members a text blast.
Now that you have received the orders about, you know, having service at your church and your members were notified and they weren't happy about it, have you been doing some online services or anything like that?
Actually, yes, I have. We do Facebook Live on my page and on our church page, Victory Baptist Church fan page. And we also, for my parishioners who are not tech savvy or social media savvy, we do our conference call so they can call in and listen to church service on the conference call.
And how have the members adjusted to these changes?
They've adjusted quite well. Weekly, we have a live conference call, and I get to hear everyone's voices. It's about 60 of us on, and I get to ask them if they need anything. Do they want anything? Do they need any food? How can I help you? Do they need to get back and forth to the doctor? What is it that we could do to help you? And we laugh for a whole hour. We laugh and clown, and then I leave out with a word of prayer. So it's working good. And then I have over 500 people every Sunday that watch us live on my Facebook page.
Wow, so you have increased your membership through this new way of communicating your ministry.
Yes,
So do you
yes,
think it's been a
absolutely.
benefit?
Well, if it does, can I answer you indirectly? If it does, I'm prepared for it, but I'm also prepared to keep an hour service when the shelter in place is lifted for those followers who have been following me for the last 6-7 weeks. So I don't want to shut those people out. I will still remain doing an hour live on Facebook every Sunday.
So the pros and cons to having to make these changes because of this pandemic. And what else can you say has been the difference for your church, your members, or your ministry?
I miss my people. I am a natural people's person. And I'm used to hugging and kissing and embracing them. I'm used to laying hands on them and holding their hands and having a word of prayer with them. I'm used to them rushing the altar after church service, the benediction, to come and greet their pastor and hug their pastor and to let me know how their week has been going. So I really miss that opportunity. We're a loving, hugging type church. And so that has been the hardest for me. I have not stopped preaching. I think I preach even harder now since we're in this pandemic. I'm preaching even harder now and preaching more relevant sermons. So
Relevant
it has
sermons, like what are some of the subjects you're covering?
Sunday, I preached about I'm winning from Psalm 18. And I said, if y'all don't like that subject, then here's another subject for you. I have the victory. Um, I preached 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, would seek my face, humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways. And the Lord said, I'll hear their prayer and heal their land. I preached on that for 3 weeks. I just
And
talked
how did
about
you
how to get in
relate?
God's ear.
Okay. And how did you relate it to what's happening outside of the church doors? Because
Can you
those are
repeat that one more time, please?
so how are you educating your members about what's happening and how are you relating what's happening in the world outside to the the Bible and those teachings? How are you really relating it? And do you think it's been effective for your members?
I think yes. Again, I have a loving, supporting church, and I have a very loyal church also too. And I can say that they know without a shadow of a doubt that this is real. This COVID-19, this coronavirus is very real. We've had cousins of family members in our congregation who have passed from COVID-19. And so I want to get them to know that it is very real. We should wear our gloves. We should practice social distancing. We should wear our masks, and we should obey the laws of the land. This is very serious. Just like there were plagues in the Bible, this is nothing but a plague where people got sick, people passed. It's very serious. And I believe that we're open to hear how serious this is. I think we're taking it very serious. I can say about my congregation, we're taking it
Well,
very serious.
that's really good to hear that you have taken a that level of responsibility to protect and make sure that your members are safe. And that brings me to the subject of your work, your extended work outside of the church as a funeral director. And what have you seen at the funeral home in terms of the numbers of funerals being uh, arranged and brought to uh, to you as a result of COVID-19?
Thank you for asking that. I it's a little humor in it because the world is in such a shock right now, and people are depressed and people are upset. But I tell my friends, my close friends, like, this is not the time to die. You deserve more than 10 persons at your funeral. You deserve more than a virtual funeral. I've done 3 virtual funerals right now where we sit in the back of the chapel and
Yeah,
we place our tablet on a easel, and you have 45 minutes to an hour to view your loved ones, and people are really sitting there watching it. And it's so sad that people have to result into 10 people who they can choose. We did a funeral for a young man last week. He had 7 children where only 3 of the people could come. So his 7 children were in there first. They practiced social distancing. They had gloves. They had masks on. There was hand sanitizers and wipes and everything for them. But that's so
wow.
sad that immediate family members are not allowed to share in your homegoing celebration or in your final disposition. It's very
That
sad.
that is an unimaginable um, experience. I can't begin to even imagine that. Can you describe more that you think our audience should hear and understand, just to really bring this home for the audience about this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic being serious?
Well, again, it is very serious. And I think a lot of people have gotten sick because I really don't believe in my heart that they have taken this very serious. I think some people think they are invincible, like it can't happen to them. It can happen to you. It can happen to anyone. It's serious. I think this has gotten out of hand. I even see in the Bay Area, they're still having sideshows. I see people still having parties. They're not practicing social distancing. They're still having gatherings with more than 10 people there. And I believe that we probably could be back on target in the next 3 or 4 weeks if we learn how in the Bay Area and across the world to take this serious. I really believe if we learn how to take this serious, I believe that we can get back on target.
Well, Reverend Dr. Martin Peters of Oakland, California, you are senior pastor at Victory Baptist Church, and I and my audience members wish you and all of your members all of the best, safe health, and we ask again that everyone remember to practice social distancing, wear the mask and the gloves. It's really important because unfortunately the deaths are still occurring. You as a funeral director, Pastor Peters, you're still seeing those deaths happen, and you're still watching those families um, be forced to have to go through such traumatic and shocking experiences where they can't even mourn the loss of a loved one to COVID-19. So let's all band together on this to try and reduce or stop the numbers, totally flatten the curve. What
Absolutely.
would your last words be to the audience out there about what you've seen as a funeral director and as a senior pastor of the church? Just give us your last words and a message of hope or whatever you want to share with us.
This is very important. We have our staff go in our church every Sunday and sanitize the entire building. They have on gloves, they have on masks, they're sanitizing the mics, the sound system, the instruments, the doors, the handles, there is sanitizer right before you enter the men and women's restrooms so that there's plenty of soap. So we take it very serious. We're in the building and it's the same 10 people for the last 6 weeks. It is the same exact 10 people who have been very loyal to offer our online worship and also at work. This week, I have been given another duty, and that is 4 times a day at 9, 12, 2, and 4 p.m. We must sanitize the entire funeral home from pens to paper, from the handles to tissue boxes to desks to anything that people touch, the restrooms, the chapel. We must spray stuff down with bleach and Lysol so that we can protect ourselves at our church as well as at the funeral home. And I think that's a last important thing to let people know. We are practicing social distancing, but we are also being very cautious and very careful to make sure we wipe and clean down for people, the next group of people to come in.
And that's really important for the audience to know that, because in fact, we're thinking about what it is going to be like after we've been given the all clear to go about our lives as usual. Nothing will be the same. I can guarantee you that.
Nothing.
There's a difference between these workers. There's the idea of the essential worker, and we all have our definitions about who we believe are essential workers, but then there are critical workers like you. And I would agree that you are a critical worker. That's a new idea.
Yes, I am. I have paperwork that I carry in the hearse, the limo, the van, and my car. And my paperwork says that I'm a critical worker, which means that I go in between both of our funeral homes, well, all three of our funeral homes. I go between the crematory and the cemetery. And if I ever get stopped after the curfew, because people don't realize there is a curfew in the Bay Area for us. So if I get pulled over by any law enforcement, I have paperwork stating that I'm supposed to be at work and I frequent these places. It's on my paperwork. I think the essential workers are like the daycare workers that provide child care for the essential workers. I think the essential workers are people that work in the hospitals and places that are essential that need to be open, like Walmart, Target, CVS, and things of that nature. I think those are essential workers, but I think people like the law enforcement, the coroner's office, funeral homes, funeral directors, morticians, I think those are considered critical workers.
Critical workers, absolutely. Want to just thank you for this time that you've taken with us here at the Bay Area Mental Health Hour to talk about what you're seeing and to share some ideas and some information that I really think will educate my audience and others about what's really going on behind the scenes of a critical worker's job.
I appreciate you for this time, this interview. Thank you so much for choosing me. You could have chose a plethora of people, but you decided to choose me, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm praying for our nation, our city, our state. I'm praying for the church. I'm praying for everyone. I'm praying for people who are sick. I'm praying for people that are recovered. I'm praying for families that are mourning, families that are not having a good time dealing with this pandemic we're in. Thank you.
I wish you and all of your members the best and the safest of days to come. To everyone out there, remember, you want to use your safe distancing mandates, and that is to, make some space between yourself and others, cover your face, and you use the gloves if you are out traveling for essential needs, but essential needs only. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane. I'll see you next time.